Welcome to Integrity Inspire, your daily dose of inspiration and motivation, featuring the bright and talented members of the Integrity Marketing Group family. Now, here's your host, Integrity co-founder and CEO, Bryan W. Adams.
Well, hey, everybody. This is Bryan Adams. Guys, I'm so excited to introduce today's guest. One of the things I've loved about this podcast is how we hear the thoughts and ideas of many different people. And just so everybody understands, we don't tell anyone what to say when they come on here. We want to hear their stories and their own insights and their own words. And this week has been so interesting in that several of our guests have independently expressed similar insights. So Barry Clarkson at Equus Financial talks about seizing the opportunity to join integrity. Teddy Ruttinger over at Western Penn's theme was all about life's pivotal moments. Yesterday, Brad Campbell of Savers talked about how doors can open in your life when others close. And our guest today has thoughts about how certain events can have life-changing ramifications. Steve Bugg, president of Insurance Marketing Group out of Connecticut, was one of the first leaders that joined the Integrity Partnership. He really and truly joined Integrity alongside many others like Mike White and Nyslash and Fleming whenever we were really trying to build this thing, and it was much more of a vision than what it is today. And he's been incredibly successful in helping seniors with their long-term care needs and their Medicare needs for many years. And then he was able to transition and translate that into building his own agency to help other agents have that same type of success. And like so many leaders here at Integrity, Steve is one of the really good guys in the business. He cares deeply about the agents and clients that we serve. And it's fitting that he's one of the first guys to join the platform because I think Steve and his whole family really embodies everything that we try to stand for here at Integrity. And I'm grateful that he took that leap of faith, and it was a leap of faith over 2 years ago, for him to join Integrity. And so I'm excited to introduce you guys to my good friend, Mr. Steve Bugg. Steve, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, Bryan. Thanks for that wonderful introduction, and it's an honor to be here today.
Man, I think, like, listen, I think Lynn probably sang that song for you because you are kind of a big spender. You're like the good-looking guy who walks in the room, and everybody notices it. So this is kind of just a fitting thing here for us to come on. But all jokes aside, Steve, you're one of the guys I just love to get together with. And you and I could probably go back and tell stories from 15 years ago or something, especially with Tom and Mike and all the different things that we do. You also give me a hard time a lot. You remember that time you and I were you and me and like 350 other people were in a room, and I was in the middle of a presentation, and I was giving a whole speech, and you somehow called out and said, "What's your cell number?" And you like put me on the spot in front of like 350 or 400 people and said, "What's your cell number?" I was like,
I do remember that.
What did I do, man?
Well, you mentioned something like anybody can call me anytime you need or something like that. You threw it out there, and I just couldn't help myself and had to jump in and say, "Well, what's your cell number?"
And what did I do? How did I respond?
You started yelling it out.
I gave it to him. That's right. Well, we've had so much fun. I mean, Blue Ocean. We could talk about that. We could talk about a lot of things, but. Man, we talked a lot about your background, and a lot of the partners here at Integrity kind of grew up in the business, and this was kind of all that they ever really thought about. But you're unlike many of our leaders here at Integrity. You had really no real connection to the insurance business. Would you mind just describing a little bit about how you went from what your background was and then how you got into the insurance business?
Sure. So my family actually was in the ready-mix concrete business when I was growing up. So it's a small town of Clinton out here in Connecticut, and my grandfather started that business in the 1960s. And then my father took that business over, so it's all I ever really knew, playing on concrete trucks and around the pit when I was a kid. And I went to college thinking, that's what I was going to do. I was going to run that company and live here in this small town, and that was just going to be my story. And for unforeseen reasons, in the mid-'90s, I had been working out of college, working for my dad for a couple of years, and business wasn't doing all that well, and he was kind of at a crossroads where he's like, am I going to invest in this business and try to take it forward, or do I just sell off all the equipment and the land and retire? And he chose the latter, and there I was, mid-20s, just got married to my high school sweetheart and had a kid on the way, and here I am trying to figure out what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So tried a bunch of different things. The quickest thing and easiest thing is go into sales. So I was a manufacturer's rep selling office supplies. And then I had a side business with a buddy of mine making artificial trees, believe it or not, selling them to grocery stores. Another buddy of mine was in the golf apparel business, so I liked playing golf. I figured I'd try that. So I was a manufacturer's rep selling golf clothing to the local pro shops all up and down the coast and up here in New England. And that was kind of like a seasonal job. I had a son now, so I need to make diaper money. So I was, stocking shelves at a grocery store. I ran on the back of garbage trucks. I did anything I could to try to make a living, and tremendously, my wife Lisa, supported that and had faith in me, and we just kept plugging along. And I was trying to figure out what I was going to do for my career.
So you actually rode on the back of a garbage truck? You were a garbage man?
Yeah. I leaned on friends. Small community, had friends in all the different businesses, and one of my friends owned a garbage company. So I would go out early in the morning because I could start at 4 a.m. and be done by 8, and then I could go sell golf clothing during the day. And then the stocking shelves at the supermarket was third shift, so we didn't have to get in till 11 at night and work till 7 in the morning. So I did some days on the garbage truck, some days at the stocking shelves, and in the middle, I sold as much golf clothing as I could, try to pay my bills.
Oh my gosh, man! So you were working 3 jobs to just pay your bills. There's some people that know exactly what they want to do, right? Right away, they're like, I'm going to do this, and they're going to go for that. There's also a lot of people that just explore a bunch of different ways. And one of the things I love about this podcast, what we've really learned during this podcast is there's no one size fits all map to success here. It's different for everybody, and it's been hard for everybody, right? I mean, you heard we talked about Andrew Taylor, who was sacking groceries and now has built his business so well, and thank God he did, because he just had a baby, and going through that whole transition. On our last podcast, we heard from Brad Campbell, who talked about how insurance found him. He wasn't really looking for the insurance world. So how did you go from working 3 jobs, sacking groceries, making artificial Christmas trees, running on a garbage truck, selling golf apparel, stocking shelves, all those different jobs that you were doing? How'd you make the leap into the insurance world?
So again, it was a friend of mine. His nickname, he went by is Rocky, and he basically was in the long-term care insurance business. He was an independent producer, but also had a small agency. And he said to me one day, I think you'd be pretty good in the insurance industry. You should try it. And I, had to go home, and tell my wife I'm thinking of trying something new again. Not that I had any perfect career going at that point anyway, but she again had. What? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And she and at this time our second son is on his way within months. So anyway, I went and said, took another leap of faith, if you will, and I just went and got my insurance license. And he suggested I start at a career agency where they could advance commissions. They give you the leads and they give you all the training you need. So I went to work with GE Capital, it was at the time, and became a career agent in their office. And I was just fortunate. A lot of people went through that office and couldn't do it, couldn't sell long-term care insurance, but for whatever reason, people were willing to listen to me and trust me and to help them with their needs, and it was something I was able to do, and really felt finally like I found something I could build a career on. So
wow, that so one of the things that I think so many people mistake, and I mean, so I know your family. I know Max and Jack and in fact, we're going to see Jack here in almost a month here in Dallas, and certainly know you and Lisa really well. The fact that a lot of people think about this is that just starting your own business is pretty easy, and it's not that hard to get started. But the fact that I found is that, man, people don't realize that 99.9% of the time, these businesses you start out really slow, and they're not glamorous at all. You have to bust your what to get it going, to just fight and claw and do whatever you can just to make ends meet, right? I mean, just to make it work. And we talk about it a lot on this podcast, is that there's really no shortcuts to success. And if you want to win, if you want to make it, forget about winning. If you want to survive, you've got to work hard. And I think that hard work also creates a level of humility, because when you keep getting knocked down and you keep getting, you're having to, work so hard and get told no so many times, you have to, you become more humble. Life humbles you in a lot of ways. And I think that has been really the formula to success for a lot of our partners. Really, I'd say the vast majority of our partners is that hard work and humility that we find. So what was the turning point in your business as you guys got started and going? What was the kind of turning point in your business?
Well, I do want to talk about two times in that there was a call that really kind of changed my life, but I think I got to jump back for just a second and say what happened was I continued to sell as a career agent, but then jumped over to the independent side with that mentor and friend of mine who talked me to get into the business. And I sold hard and worked hard for, as you just described, for 6 years or so. And then a turning point came where he basically decided he wanted to get into a different type of business. He didn't have a wife or children, and he just wanted to do something different, open up a restaurant, believe it or not. And he came to me with an opportunity to form a new company, and that's when Insurance Marketing Group was formed. And I would run the agency and share the profits with him. He would move all the agents under me. So I basically just inherited the 20 or 25 agents that he had on the long-term care side. And I continued to work. I just continued to lead by example. I sold during the day and night, and I managed those agents, and I took over that agency and kind of ran with that. But another or major turning point came when now I have this agency, and I'm still selling long-term care insurance, but I want to look at ways to bring some new revenue into the agency. And I thought maybe I could leverage my long-term care contracts to get a Medicare contract. So I did a little research in Connecticut, and there was a inexpensive Medicare supplement plan. And I thought, well, some of the guys I worked with and then networked with on the long-term care side, I know sell Medicare, so maybe I can convince them to give me a contract, and I could recruit a few agents and start building another revenue stream on the Medicare side. And I called, and I don't even know who I talked to, but I talked to somebody there and was trying to tell them my story and what I wanted to do. And they said, well, we don't contract people directly here, but I have a 800 number of an outfit that can certainly help you with that. And that 800 number was Premier Senior Marketing. And I made that phone call, and a guy named Paul Sharon answered the telephone. And he was actually in the long-term care business himself when he started his career, sold door to door. So he and I hit it off right away on that discussion. But he was much more Medicare knowledgeable than me, and was super smart and great at marketing. And that really was, and in looking back, that phone call was really the one that changed my life.
Man, Paul, hey, listen, you were blessed to get to know Paul. Isn't it amazing how certain individuals can have such a profound impact on the path of your life? We all have them, these mentors who help us really set the tone of our career. And I knew Paul well, and you couldn't have asked for a better person to help you gain momentum at such a critical time. I've heard so many people at Premier throughout and honestly throughout the industry that pay tribute to Paul. Paul, for those of you who don't know, Paul was just an amazing guy. In fact, I would say he was, for me, the most knowledgeable person I've ever met around Medicare Advantage plans, and perhaps Medicare supplement plans, period. And Paul, I seriously, bar none, with everybody I've met, and that includes company executives and others, Paul was one of those guys that if he believed in it and knew it or understood it, he was just going to know all of it. And he was so committed to the business and serving others that he wanted to make sure that he, whenever somebody called him with a question, that he was there for them and definitively could help them. And Paul ended up developing a gluten intolerance effectively, and then it created celiac disease, and then that went to cancer. And Paul, at the height of his life and his career, he got really sick through that entire process. And a few years ago, in his early, I mean, he was in his 40s, man. I mean, he was incredibly young, but whenever that just took over his body, he passed away. And the amazing thing about Paul Sharon is he never stopped caring about people, and really just helping people plan for their business, and he took care of everyone. It was such a blessing to have someone who I think we can all count on as a mentor, and he will always be missed. He will be missed by many people, especially by the team at Premier. And I know I speak on behalf of Tom Sheath, Mike Wingate, Brent Ehlers, Justin Reifert, John Pieper, and a bunch of others. Man, Paul was one of a kind, was he not? I mean, he was. There's nobody.
He was amazing. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I mean, I owe much of my career to him. He was really there from the very beginning. In those early stages, I was still had to sell long-term care insurance as a full-time job. You know, I needed to pay my bills, and he. We went out, and those 15 agents or so I recruited originally, and he took his knowledge and he took those agents, and he saw potential in them, and I can't say enough about Premier and my loyalty to them, because they believed in protecting a hierarchy. And I don't want to say I wasn't working on the Medicare side, but I was more overseeing what those agents were doing, because I was still focused on the long-term care side. And And Paul, went beyond what marketers, I believe, would normally do. And like I said, he just worked those agents, helped a couple of them build general agencies themselves underneath my hierarchy, and really took my business to another level on the Medicare side, and eventually got to the point where I didn't have to personally produce anymore. And that's when him and I could really focus together on continuing to support the agents that we had and grow it from there. And obviously built the relationship I have with Tom and Mike, and never really wanted any more than to just be that middleman and have them be my back office support and take care of the agents and watch this thing grow. And you couldn't be more accurate. I mean, I miss him every day. He was an amazing guy. He was very private, but we were close enough friends where he shared a lot with me, and there's no doubt about it. I owe much of my career to Paul Sharon.
We all do, and I completely agree. And for those of you who are on this call and you're a marketer and you're helping recruit agents or agencies, and you're serving them. And we're a service business. One of our core values is service, and it's this is a people helping people business. And there's agents and agencies all over the country that you work with or that are out there, just like what Steve was, where he was like, I want to get into this market, and I don't know what, I don't know that much about it, but can you help me with that? I mean, we have such an amazing opportunity and a job to be able to help people build a business. And that business will help people get the coverage that they need to take care of their life and their families for going forward. And sometimes we forget the impact that we can have just on, we all have these calls you have to get on. You have these different things that you've got to do. And so if you're thinking just in your position here at Integrity, and you think about the different positions, so if you're in contract and licensing, and you're going through that, it can get really mundane and you can get frustrated and you can get going, oh my gosh, what is this all about? But you're helping people like Steve get set up properly and make sure that they have everything that they need so that they can help other agents get more products out into the field and help people get the coverage that they need. Or if you're in new business, you're helping people, especially, Steve, I know that there were days that you're like, I don't even know how to fill out this application or what I'm supposed to do. Just tell me how to do it so I can get it processed and get paid, right? And so you have new business people who are out there, and a lot of days you sit there and you go, man, like, golly, what is this guy thinking? Why did he make this mistake again? But the impact that you can have for somebody's career about just really helping focus on doing those little things right. Or if you're a marketer and you're like, oh my gosh, I gotta make this phone call again and I gotta recruit these guys. You never know when that call, whether it's you making an outbound call or an inbound call, maybe the next Steve Bugg calling in going, hey, I've been in this part of my business. I'm in long-term care insurance. I'm really successful, but I want to diversify somewhat. And I'm thinking about this. And would you help me? And you have the opportunity to be the Paul Sharon that he's talking about down the road of going, man, that marketer, that person helped me be that successful. And we just have such an incredible opportunity. I love our job here at Integrity because we get the opportunity to help people every day. We get the opportunity to serve people every day. And there's people who paved the way for us, like Paul Sharon, who did it without complaint, who did it with excellence. I mean, we want to be world-class in everything that we do here at Integrity, and I can say without a doubt that Paul Sharon was world-class at his job, and there's nobody better. He would be there for you night or day. It didn't matter if it was on the weekend or on the weekday. If you needed help, Paul was there for you. And his team, he had one of the best teams in the world as well. And I say all that to say, as a reminder, that the job we have here at Integrity is just such an incredible job to help people help more people. This is such an amazing business of people helping people. And so, Steve, I know you, everything I just described and more, you've been part of, right? I mean, you've benefited from all of those type of things because people like Paul were there to say, hey, man, I'm here with you. I'm going to come alongside you. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to make sure your people are taken care of, just like you would take care of them. And you keep doing what you're doing. And so, isn't that such an incredible opportunity that we have to serve more people?
Absolutely. You couldn't say it better. And like I said, he was a huge part of my success. And I owe a lot to him. And we're talking about two important calls. I look back on time. So that first call was when I called in to Premier and Paul answered the phone. But the second game-changing call for me was actually Paul being completely, non-selfish and making a reach out to me at a time when he was very ill and should be thinking only about himself. But that's not Paul. He was thinking about me and our friendship and the business we built and how he could help that still going forward. And he reached out to me in 2017 and basically said to me from his deathbed, you need to call Mike Wingate and learn about something he's working on. And it amazes me and humbles me that Paul would do that at that time in his life and still be concerned about me and my well-being. But I did exactly what he told me to do and picked up the telephone and called Mike Wingate, and that's when I learned about integrity. And the vision of integrity was clear to me right away, but it wasn't even that so much as I just believed wholeheartedly in Tom and Mike and you, of course, Bryan and Premier. I mean, it was an amazing organization. I think there was only 10 or 12 employees when I first called Paul. And by this time there was 200 or what have you, and the amazing success. So I had an opportunity to be partners with Premier was pretty much a no-brainer to me. Obviously, it's a tough decision. You're selling your business, something you count on for your livelihood. But I made that leap of faith, and now I look back too because I miss Paul every day, like I said, and I can't turn to him now for the advice that I used to need and want. And what he did is gave me the gift of being part of integrity now. And, these Inspire calls have actually inspired me enough to reach out to a couple of partners already and look for advice from them on how I could help parts of my business going forward. And it's just, it's amazing. It seems like you're bringing on another partner every week for me to lean on, which is fantastic. But again, it just makes me think of Paul because I can't call on him anymore, but he set me up in a position where I have other great partners I can call.
Man, and I can speak on behalf of all of us. You can call any of us at any time, and everybody here at Integrity is a partner. And so I love the fact that, and I'm not surprised at all, that even on his deathbed, Paul was looking out for you. I remember Paul calling Tom and Mike and I on his deathbed and wanting to make sure that his wife Squeak was taken care of and that everything was set up for her and for us to be able to watch out for her. And he was always thinking of other people. And it turns out, I think, that the most successful people I've met in my life are people like Paul who are not always thinking about themselves, and they are thinking about others, and they're selfless, like you just described. Even when everything in you would go, I just need to focus on me. When you're focused on other people, man, it's a powerful thing that just continues that legacy that I know Paul had. And I'm so glad you made that first call to Premier. We've been great partners for a long time with you and your team, and you've got some amazing people. But being that second call where he said, there's something going on here, and it's early stages, but you need to call Mike Wingate and ask him about it. And that call led to you becoming a partner here at Integrity, which has been an amazing thing, just I think for all of our families, and getting to work alongside each other, but also support each other, has been just so much fun. And so I appreciate you making both of those calls, because you never know what call can change your life. And for all of us on this call, you never know what calls can change other people's lives as well, just as Paul changed Steve. So, Steve, thank you, my friend. I appreciate you sharing those stories today, and I appreciate you giving people some insight to what it's like from going from riding a garbage truck to selling insurance door to door to building an incredible agency, to serving others and becoming a partner at Integrity. So I love you, my friend. I appreciate you, and thank you for joining us today, my friend.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you more than you know. Hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. God bless you all. Take care. Bye-bye.